Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. This is the Eagles channel once again. Yeah, you're welcome to our maiden edition of live video. This video is coming to you live and direct. It's coming live and direct. Yes, it's live video coming to you live and direct. My subscribers, I welcome you to this maiden edition of our live video. Our intended subscriber, I welcome you also. Other viewers, I welcome you. Please, you are free to chat while this call is going on. You are free to chat. You are live. Welcome, welcome. I hope it's clear on the other side. Please, if you are there, let me know. Let me know if you can hear me. It's unfortunate there was no time schedule for this video, and of course I expect there will not be a lot of people out there. But if you can, just one or two, to get more. I trust my viewers. We're gonna get more people today. Welcome once again. Welcome once again. You're welcome. If you are there, if you join us, if you're joining me, let me know if you can. Let me know if it's clear. If it's clear out there. Let me know, my viewers. Yes, once again, I say good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Depend on your local time. Depend on where you are, where you're watching me from. I know this is going around the world, and you got different time zone. Today we'll be discussing one very sensitive and issue that makes sense. One issue that makes a lot of sense, as you can see from the video out there. Women are underrepresented. Women are underrepresented everywhere in the world. Women are not as represented as their male counterpart. Women in almost all the professions, or most professions, so to say, women are underrepresented. Women are underrepresented for so many reasons. If you go through, the population of the total world, the population of the world today, women form 49.73%. That is 4.09 billion of the population, total population of the world, while the men are 50.27%, which represent 4.14 billion. It could correctly be said that the men, the women, they are 50-50. But yet, in the scheme of things, yet in organization, wherever, women are not as represented as the men. I hope a lot of people will agree with me on this. Women are not as represented as the men, and there are so many reasons for this. These are the what we will be diving in today, what we'll be examining today to know what are the factors, what are the reasons behind this underrepresentation of the women. Like I said, in many organizations, in sports, in management roles, everywhere, in business circle, if you look at the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the big companies today, you will find out that women are not as many as the men. In politics, look across the Senate of different countries of the world. You will often find that women are not as many as the men. And in some countries, you might not find a woman at all. You might not find a woman at all. But yet, there are women in that country. What are the factors responsible for this? Yeah, before we go into those factors that might be responsible for this, it might interest us to know or to go into some areas, into some given record where men dominate in the organization. For example, the Royal College of Physicians report of the various medical fields of the ratio of men to women. For example, cardiologists, the men are 82 while women are just 18. Nuclear medicine, men are 68% and women 32. Respiratory medicine, men are 63 and the female 33. But hooray, this year, 2025, General Medical Council reported that they have more women than men in the medical field in the United Kingdom. This year, women, for the first time, is recording 50 to 49% to the men for the first time. That is to say, before now, the women has been more, the men has always been more, and the women has been lower. What are the reasons? Now, if we go to another area of leadership, talking of area of a chief executive officer, area of leadership, talking of managers or big establishment. According to International University of Applied Science, according to the survey that was held there, about managerial positions, men hold 32%, while women 17. If you still look at other areas today, like football, somebody might say, why football? Because women play football now. Women play professional football. Women play football in the league as well. So, but if you look at the football circle now, in the sports circle or sports generally, you will see that women are fewer in number than the men. For example, in football, there's a record of men 60% and the women just 23. Well, somebody may argue this because the women professional football started some quite few years back. So you can as well say, okay, they are coming up. Yes, they are coming up. We hope they are coming up. And even if you look at the salary structure, men in professional football are paid 70% more than the female footballer. Yeah, this is exactly what we are talking about. Male football enjoy more view, and equality and the equality challenges on both on and off pitch for the women. Again, if you look at military circle, we're talking of military, the army, navy, and the air force. You will still notice that the men are more in number. The men are more in number. For example, again, if you look around the world, if we counting the number of countries where women are the president, you will still find that there are still quite a few compared to the numbers of the men. The men has always been dominant. So today, we are going to look into the factors. We are going to dive into the reasons why the men are always ahead of the women. I mean, why they are always more in the numbers. Yes. I know these reasons for this may vary from one country to another, which is very, very essential. But we are putting it together, looking at it from the word spectrum, looking at it from with a single lens to see and to examine the reasons why men are always more in number. Yet the top on the list I have today is culture and religion. Culture and religion. Yes, if you look across the world today, there are some culture and religion that does not permit the women to participate in many life activity as the men. Yes, there are some culture that does not allow the women to be available or to make the number to be as high as the men, as the male counterpart. Yes. For example, well, I'm not saying this culture they are bad or the religion they are bad. That is not what we are saying here. But we are saying this culture and this religion, by the way they are practiced, keep the women, some of them at home. Keep the women at home, and that is the reason the men they are higher in number in that particular country, so to say. For example, we were watching a video quite some days ago. This video was coming from Afghanistan, and this video was showing a marketplace. It was a marketplace. In this marketplace, you will see the men. You will see men. There were men all over the men, predominantly men. You hardly see the women in the marketplace. But whereas in some areas, other part of the world, you could see more women than the men. This is exactly what I'm saying. So the culture of some of the countries does not permit the women to partake in some of this activity as in other areas. For example, if you're talking about a country like Saudi Arabia, with their religion, with the women does not work as much as the men. Therefore, in places like this, the number of the men will be very high. And there are some religion practices that does not even allow the women to work. In which case, the number of the men will always be very high and the number of the women very low. But in some countries like in the West, where men and women are not big, they are not guided or bounded by these religious practices or their culture, you find a very high percentage or very high ratio of the men to or the women to the men. But be that as it may, the men are still high in number. The men are still high in number compared to the women. That is exactly what we are saying. We are saying the men could be the women could be very high in ratio to the men, but still the men still they are still higher in number. They are still higher in number. If you go to if you go to any country in the West, Western Europe or in America, you see women competing with the men in almost everything. But even as much as that, the competition goes on, the men are still high, they are still have a higher number. The men are still higher in number. Yes. The saying goes that what the man can do, woman can do better. That is what they says. That is a popular saying. But in this case, even though the women can do better, but the men are still more in number. However, that is it. Then another reason that more or less is connected to this culture and religion is the societal expectation. Societal expectation stroke family expectation. Yes, as a result of societal expectation and family expectations, there are certain jobs that are restricted for men. There are certain jobs that are restricted for only men. It is the expectation of the society that these jobs are for men and not for women. Yes, in some society, there are some particular jobs that women are not allowed to do. For example, years back, women they were not allowed in the military in some countries, but that is changing now. But in some countries, women are not allowed at all. While in the Western world, women are in most of these jobs, but in a very limited number. So the men still hold, the men still dominate. Despite the dominate because of this societal expectation and family expectation. So the society does not expect that woman to go to that terrain. The family does not expect that woman to go to that terrain. But although this is changing, it is fast changing because the women they are taking up the challenge, because the women they are breaking the norms. Everything is changing, but still the men are still more. They still have more men. The men are still more. The men are still more. However, however, the next sorry for the interruption. Sorry for this little interruption. Yes. Sorry for this. I did not expect this will be coming this in now. Why this call coming in now? The next reason here, the next factor will be examining or be looking to is the men themselves. The men themselves are a factor, they are a reason. The men have chosen to be to hold that dominance in some areas. The men have chosen to dominate and to dominate that space. For example, if you look at some countries, yeah, if you go to the Senate of some countries, you find that there are some few women, particularly if you look at Nigerian Senate, the women that they are few, and these few women, they are finding it difficult to cope because the men is not giving them enough space. The women senator are being pushed around as if you do not belong here. You do not belong here. So the men themselves have become a factor. They have become a threat to the women. They have become a discouraging factor that does not allow these women to thrive in some jobs. There are some jobs that the men they hold the job, and they are so strong. The dominance is such that it becomes a threat for the women to thrive. So the men themselves, they are a factor. They are a factor in the number. I mean, determining the number of women that come in. One will expect some flexibility on the part of the women, on the men. One will expect some flexibility and encouragement on the part of the men, so that the number of the women can grow a little bit. We know the chances of the women matching up in numbers with the men is almost impossible or difficult to achieve. But flexibility on the part of the men, encouragement on the part of the men, give peace and chance on the part of the men will enable these women to do what these men are doing. Because after all, they said women can do better what men are doing. But only if they can be given the chance, they can be given the opportunity to do that thing that the men are doing. Yes, of course, they could do it better. And that brings me to another reason, the women themselves. The women, although the women, they are striving hard, they are fighting tooth and nail to see that they can do that thing that the men are doing and to even do it better, which is good. But they have to continue to fight that fight because it's a fight. It's a fight they have to fight so that they can get to that place they need to be. Because the number of the women is not quite encouraging. They need to continue to fight their way through before they can get to that level. Although they might not be accepted, they might not be welcomed, but you have to fight your way through. Like a particular senator is doing in Nigeria presently. The particular senator has been restricted, has been resisted, they find a way to discard her, but she's fighting, and she's fighting frantically. She's fighting frantically, and she's moving on until she seems unstoppable. Kudos to that woman. Yes, if you go to America and they go to US and the senators, some powerful women in the Senate who have been in Senate for several years, powerful women like Pelosi, powerful women who have remained in the Senate, who have come to stay in the Senate as much as their male counterpart. This is the kind of women who want to be seen everywhere. The kind of women that will hold on to their own. The kind of women that will say, yes, this is where we belong. We are here and we are not going. Seeing that kind of woman above like that, sitting up on the position like this, that woman, she will pave way for more women to come in. She will pave more ways for more women to rise to the stardom. And that's what we want to be seen, because women has long been underrepresented. The number of women is so large while considering the population, the census of the population is 50 to 50. But the women are not given that 50 to 50 chance in the life sector, in the organizations, in the professions, in their jobs. They remain few and scanty in their number. Yes, again, another reason why women may remain few, may continue to remain few, is a natural cause. Natural cause. Natural cause. Women are saddled with childbirth. Women are saddled with child caring. Women are saddled with home caring. For this natural responsibility of the women, this has brought some limitations to them. This has brought some limitations. This take some time, take some of their time in doing other things. Imagine a woman has to carry a baby for 9 months, and after 9 months after birth, she still have to cater for this baby or this child. In some countries, she has to stay at home. If she has been working before, she has to stay home with the child for as much as 3 years. In some countries, it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year. And this childbirth could even occur again if in few years, she might put to bed again, and the cycle goes on and on and on. And some women after childbirth might not have the needed energy, the needed stamina, the needed vision and focus to carry on in their choosing profession. She might not have the time, she might not have the concentration, because her concentration has been divided. So for this natural reason, women, they remain few in number compared to the men in various professions. But there are some few women who have chosen to face their profession and having childbearing very late or not at all, who have put their profession first, and they have decided no, they're not going to joke or with their profession, they're not going to give it a second place. Some have had to considering having childbirth at very late, or when they feel that the profession has been developed to a certain point. Some do not at all want to go there. So natural reasons, this natural cause. And natural cause has made this man and the men to be stronger also too. Because the women who have gone through birth, this cycle of birth, they are no more the same women anymore. Imagine some women have to go through this cycle of birth for 2 times or 3 times or more, and it does not make them to be as strong as it were. So this natural cause is the major reason, the major cause why women may not match in numbers with the men in the field or in the profession or in the organization or anywhere. Then another reason is the nature of the work. There are some there are some jobs that are naturally for men. Because it's naturally for men, you find that there are more men in that job. Although because it's naturally for men, there might be women in the job, but is scanty in number. For example, in the military today, if you look around the world military, the military that defend the various countries in the world, you will no doubt find more men. There are more men in the army, in the navy, in the air forces, more men because of the nature of this job. But there are some women still in this job. I'm not saying there are no women in this job. There are women, but the number is not to be compared to the men because of the dangerous nature of that job, because of very nature, difficult and dangerous of that job. There are few jobs like that are restricted to men. Okay, there are some jobs too that are also restricted to women. For example, in the job of having to look after children in the kindergarten, child minding, in the teaching job. Yeah, these are jobs that women are very, very good. They are good because naturally they know how to look after the children. So these jobs are naturally for women. Then again, in the restaurant, cooking job are jobs that are, you find a lot of women doing very well, and they have, the numbers are usually very comfortably high. Although there are men in these jobs, but they are fewer than the women. Then other jobs that you might find more men and more women, like jobs like mechanics, electricians, electric jobs, some other jobs that are technically inclined. You might not find women in that area. Then the construction industry, you find a lot of men, but not too many women. Yes, because of the nature of this job. This job usually, apart from is difficult, they spend a lot of hours doing this job. So women on this kind of job are usually very rare, and if you find one, very few. Yeah, for example, like driving job, you find more men than women. I mean, because it's strenuous and usually set aside for men. Although you find some few women there, but the numbers are never to be compared to the number of men. So the nature of the work also determines the number of men and women you find there. Again, if you go to broadcasting, even communication, you find a lot of women there because these are something, you find a lot of men and women there. This area could be like 50-50. because it's area of discussion, talking about life, reporting one issue or the other. So there are a lot of men and women involved in this sector of the job sector. Again, another to consider is the country that is under consideration, because this discussion varies from one country to another. This factor also affects the number of women from one country to another. Therefore, the country under consideration is a factor. Is a factor because, for example, if I say the nature of work is a factor, that nature of work in some country might not be a factor, because the country that you see the men and the women doing that job, whereas in some countries you may not find a woman there at all. You may not find a woman there at all because it's restricted to the men because of the country under consideration. For example, from one country to another, the societal expectation, like I pointed out before, and family expectation varies. It varies. What to expect from a man or from a woman, it varies. Therefore, these conditions, all these factors or reasons I have listed are interwoven. They are interwoven from one society to another. They are interwoven. Be culture, be religion, be societal expectation, be the men as a factor, women as a factor, be a natural cause, be the nature of work, and it varies from one country to another. It changes from one country to another. They are interwoven. They affect the number of women in one way or the other. They affect the number of women in the ratio of women to men. They affect differently, they affect them in a different way altogether. However, in conclusion today, I want to say, although the number of the men and the women in population are almost 50-50, but the number of the men too in the field or the profession may be more than the women. But the women, they are striving. The women, they are coming up. The women, they are not giving up the fight. The women, although they might be held back by natural causes of birth, they are still giving their best. They are still giving their best. They are still contributing their quota that is needed to be contributing. That is why we keep saying that what a man can do, women can do. Women does it better. They do it better because given the number of responsibility, given number of assignment they have to do sometimes at a sport, or they have to do at the same time, then you will know that women, they are giving their best. Women are giving their best and they are doing very well. This video is not to discredit the men or to discredit the women, because I know the men are doing well as the women. Everyone, they are contributing their quota in the society. Wherever they find themselves, no one is giving up. No one we are saying is not doing enough. Everyone is doing enough. But we are just trying to analyze the ratio of the men to the women or the women to the men. And then looking at the factors that may be responsible, the factors that have brought the ratio to that point. Women are doing their best. Men are doing their best. Kudos to men and women all over the world. Kudos to the men and women all over the world in the military, in the sports industry. Kudos to men and women in the communication industry. Kudos to men and women in the medical field. Kudos to men and women who are managers, who are CEOs. Kudos to men and women who are students preparing to occupy these exotic positions in the near future. Kudos to men and women who have given their best, who are now retired, who have retired now at home resting. Kudos to men and women in the government. Kudos to men and women in all industry all over the world. You are doing very well. And with that, I bring this discussion to an end. If this discussion have interested you, please give us a feedback. Which area I have not talked very well, or the area I've not talked about at all, please give me a feedback. Give me a feedback on the if there's any area to be criticized, please do. Because while you criticize me, you bring out the best in me. And if you find this discussion educative, if you find this discussion is adding values to you, please give me a thumb up and subscribe. Subscribe, because more of similar discussion will be coming. And I will be coming live again next Sunday at about 16 o'clock. Next Sunday at about 16, I will be coming live. While I come live next Sunday, please join me. Prepare yourself. Prepare your questions. If you got questions, please send to me. If you got anything to point out, let me know. And with that, I say, have a great day. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.